Hello and welcome to this week's Natural Gardening Live with me, Josie Rainbird, your natural gardening coach. As I say, today we're talking about how to know when your plants need feeding. We're going to be talking about the different signs to look for, what can affect the nutrients available to your plants in the garden, and more importantly, so when to feed and when not to feed. So that's what we're covering today. If you've got any questions as we go through, please feel free to comment. I'm here for you. If you've got any questions, comment away. So question for you. Do you know what signs your plants should show you when they need feeding? Do you know the signs to look for, or have you ever noticed anything when you think your plants might need feeding, or somebody said to you they need feeding? Don't panic if you don't know. It's fine, because we're talking through them in a bit. So gardeners use feed nutrients, fertilizer, whatever, to improve the health, productivity and resilience of their plants. This helps towards sort of recovery after pest and disease damage as well. So resilience, their health, basically. It's not a cure-all. You don't always need to be feeding your plants. The soil plays a massive role in providing nutrients to your plants and can provide some much needed nutritional support against pest and disease damage as well. So good soil will help support your garden. Your garden's overall health as well. It's not just your garden and your plants, the actual overall, the bigger picture, the overall health. Promote your plant's recovery after pest and disease damage. So what's it? Good soil. What did I say there? Good soil equals good. No, good soil equals a healthy garden. Yeah, kind of along those lines. So the soil is key. The soil is your foundation to your garden. I can't stress that enough. Good soil, good garden. So, and less work for you. Knowing you don't always need to feed is one thing, but knowing when you should be feeding or when to feed is another. So after all, there will be a time that you will have to step in. There will be, because nature can't do it all for us, unfortunately. As much as we try and support it, it can't do it all for us. So there will be a time that we will need to step in and pick up the nutritional slack, so to speak. And there's a few signs to look out for. As I said about the question, what signs do you put have you seen for your plants showing you that need feeding? There are a few signs to look out for to show that they need your support. Signs to look out for, or just some of the signs, but these are the main signs that you will see in your garden if your plants need feeding. So discoloured leaves, that's quite a common one as well, which we'll go through what all these connect to in a bit, so that's fine. So discoloured leaves, stunted growth and reduced flowering. This isn't limited to feeding. This can be water related as well. So stunted growth and reduced flowering. Reduced productivity, so smaller crops, smaller vegetables, less fruit, that side of it. Vulnerable plants as well. So your plants become more prone to disease and pest problems. They're like an easy target, if you like. So this will prevent them also from recovering from the diseases faster as well, or an inadequate time. So it'll take forever to heal after they've got damaged, or if they have a fungal disease. The leaves are probably, it's more productive for you to take the leaves off than it is for the plant to naturally recover on its own. So this is often a good time to feed your plants. So those are some of the signs that you will see when your plants are telling you that they need to be fed. Looking out for these signs will help you to identify if the plant's looking for support, but it also just as important, especially this time of year and what we're going through at this moment with this heat wave, it's just as important to keep your plants watered. And again, like we were talking about the other day in the watering support sustainable gardening live that I did, about the best times of day to water as well. So just as important to keep your garden watered. Watering your plants and the soil will help to keep the nutrients in the soil soluble and accessible for your plant roots. So this will also, watering your soil will also help to support the ecosystem in the soil as well. And as we know, the ecosystem helps to provide nutrients to your plants. So it's a twofer on that one. So watering your plants in the soil is crucial for access to the nutrients and supporting the ecosystem in the soil. If your soil dries out, then the plants can't access the nutrients, which sucks because no matter how much you feed them, they won't be able to get to it. Access the nutrients, even if it's there, the ecosystem who provide the nutrients to your plants, and they just said they're supporting your plants when you're not, basically, they'll just die off. They can't live in bone dry soil. There's nothing there to support them. They need the moisture there as much as the plants do. So watering is just as important as feeding. Which way you dress it up, it is just as important as feeding your plants. Because without it, they can't access the nutrients. Simple. One thing to think about is, it's a bit of a caveat to this whole thing, I suppose, is container plants. They play a different game. Now, container plants, or thinking plants that don't have access to garden soil, they haven't got their feet in the ground, so they're grown in raised beds, containers, window boxes, baskets, things like that. Any sort of plants that aren't in the soil, they don't have access to the soil, so they don't have access to that extra support from the ecosystem in the soil and all the extra nutrients that are out there. So they do need a bit of extra something from you. This means you will need to feed the containers, feed the plants every sort of 3 to 4 weeks. And sometimes in the peak growing seasons, like we are now, they will need feeding more frequently. This is purely because the compost, unless you refresh the compost every single year, or you've got some like slow release feed or something in there, they are going to use the feed up quickly as the plants are growing so rapidly this time of year. They're going to use the feed up quickly, and there's nothing there. There's no way of it replenishing, so you have to do it for them. So just a little bit on container plants. So it's really important to keep them watered and fed sort of fairly frequently to just keep their condition up and their health up. This is probably more important if you think about it if you've got a container vegetable garden. So if you are growing tomatoes in baskets or tomatoes in containers, this is very much very important when it comes to that, because they're producing more than just leaves and stem. They're producing fruit and flowers as well. So the more they're producing, the more food they're going to need, more frequently they're going to need it, and the more support they're going to need from you. So what is it? You get in? No, you get out what you put in. So you support them, they'll give it back to you. Problems which might occur when feeding too frequently, or too high concentrate as well. Even with natural feeds, this can be a problem. Minerals can block other minerals. This is just life. Minerals can block other minerals. So if you've got so what have we got here as an example? So if you've got too much phosphorus in the ground, it can block up magnesium. So phosphorus is a macronutrient. That's one of the big three. So NPK, which I'll go through in a minute. So if you've got too much phosphorus in the ground, it blocks up the magnesium, which can then cause issues with fruit growth, fungal issues, sort of recovery from fungal issues, that sort of thing. So too much phosphorus can block up magnesium. It just can. Too much Too much nitrogen can cause rapid sort of bolt of growth, which encourages the need for more magnesium and potassium to support it. So at certain times of the year, you don't want to be feeding too much nitrogen because the bolt of growth, and you won't have the backup there to support it. Like autumn time, for instance. There are specific signs for your plants that your plants need. We talked about a few of the signs a minute ago. We did. So, and see if you can think of any extras that you might see in your garden. Just have a look around your garden and see what you can see. There will be little signs here and there of if your plants need feeding or not. Just have a look out. It's observation. Observe your garden. You'll learn a lot. So specific signs your plants need particular nutrients, but during the growing season, they will need good levels of the top three, the big three, the three macronutrients to support continuous growth. So they all have different, They've all got different responsibilities. That's the wrong word, but it's kind of along those lines. They do different jobs. So nitrogen supports new growth, sort of new green growth, rapid growth and leaf production. Deficiency in nitrogen looks like yellowing leaves and stunted growth. So if you think about what nitrogen promotes and supports, the counter to that, as I say, would be stunted growth and yellowing leaves. So look out for those kind of signs when it comes to knowing that you need to feed nitrogen. Potassium supports flowers, fruit, and root growth. So deficiency in potassium will look like brown scorched leaves and curling leaves as well. Phosphorus supports these growth of stems, cells, it's not stem cells, stems, cells, and recovery and repair. So deficiency in this can look like slower growing plants and slower recovering plants as well. So they're really slow at recovering after damage, healing, things like that, rooting, that kind of thing. So recovery and repair. So a good rule of thumb is spring and summer are rapid growth seasons. We know this. Things grow faster in the spring and summer because of the sun, the heat, the day lengths, blah. As the soil warms up, everything grows faster. So spring and summer, rapid growing seasons. And we don't need it. Your plants will need nitrogen to support the green growth. So late summer and autumn, you'll need to concentrate on roots, flowers, and fruit. So spring, summer, rapid growing season, concentrate on nitrogen for green growth. Late summer and autumn, you've got the flowers coming out and you've got the fruit being produced. So you're going to have to concentrate on the potassium and phosphorus. So you're going through the roots to support the plant picking up the nutrients. You've got the flowers and fruit being produced. So you're going to need the potassium and phosphorus there to help with that support as well. So day lengths get shorter and the plant's growth rates slow right down. This is the point that you're going to need to slow down or stop your feeding altogether. So as we head into late autumn and winter, you can feel the weather getting colder, the day lengths get much shorter. Your plants will start to die back and go into dormancy. This is the point that they don't need feeding anymore. There's nothing challenging them. There's nothing drawing on more nutrients. They're not growing rapidly. They're not producing fruit. They're not doing anything, basically. They're going into dormancy. They're resting for the winter. Backing off time now. You don't want to be feeding them at this time. It's not going to do anything. You might get encourage in the autumn time, if it's still slightly warm, a little bit of a flurry of growth, but you're not going to get anything out of it because they're heading into dormancy. They aren't thinking about flowering anymore. They're not thinking about producing fruit. They're heading into dormancy. So all they're going to produce for you is leaves at that point. So just forget about feeding them. You're not going to do any good. At this point, this is the time the soil kicks in. So the soil now will take over take the baton, if you like. Will take over the challenge of feeding your plants. It will continue to, as long as the soil's moist and it's ticking over and everything is in good condition, it will continue to provide the nutrients that your plants need when you're not feeding them. It won't overdo it. The plants will just take up what they need and the rest is in the soil ready for them as they need it. So this is the point. It's good to have good soil. It will support your plants through the winter and they'll be in absolutely amazing condition then for the spring when they start to pick the growth back up, and then you can step back in and take care of them. So because I've nearly got to time, I set myself a timer just in case. I'll turn that off. Perfect. Because I don't trust myself to not run over. So I hope this has actually helped you to understand the of when you need to, let me go back up to the top so I can find myself, understand how to know when your plants need feeding, when to feed, when not to feed, and the signs to look for as well, which is even more important. The signs to look for that your plants are telling you that they need feeding. So let me come off of here. There we go, so I can see. Perfect. So yes, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, comment in the group as we go through. Any other posts that I put in the week, absolutely comment away on those. Perfect. If you've got pictures of things that you're a bit worried about and you're not sure if they need feeding, or it looks like a sign that they need feeding, anything like that, post it in the group. Absolutely fine. We are here to help. If you would like to know more about feeding your garden naturally, the natural feeds and supports that you can do for your garden, I have got a guide set up ready and all. In fact, I've got like 2 or 3 guides now set up ready in the membership that can help you further with this. And I am writing, I think it should be ready for the end of August, but I'm a bit like 6 weeks. Yeah, it should be ready for 6 weeks. I'm writing a book as well on, it's like a cookbook, if you like, for natural feeds. All these different natural feeds and how they support your garden and what they promote and what they benefit. So I'm doing that. I'm going to do a digital version so you can just download it as you're ready. Or I'm going to do it as a paperback as well through Amazon. So that should be ready for the end of August. I will be posting more on that in the group, so you're going to know what's going on with that. So as we get closer to the time, I'll try and do a pre-order thing for it as well through Amazon. Things that up, but the digital one I will have ready to go as soon as it is. Fabulous. Okay, so I will call it a day there and we'll see you all later. Have a great day. Don't get too hot.